My name is Heather. I have a deep passion for everything related to fashion. I currently own a clothing shop in the Boston Metro, but a couple decades ago, when I first embarked on this journey, I encountered a truly horrifying experience that still occupies my thoughts today. It all started in the summer of 2005. The streets were brimming with potential customers during this vibrant season, and my foremost objective was to draw them into my store. On a particularly beautiful and Sunday Tuesday morning, I received the arrival of a rather large batch of fresh merchandise, along with the new seasonal marketing materials that I had eagerly anticipated. I cleared some space in the already crowded back room to accommodate the incoming shipment. The back room was already quite cramped, but I somehow managed to fit everything in and still had room to walk. While I awaited the arrival of morning customers, my first task of the day was to start working on the window display. I was thrilled with the fresh look of the mannequins that had been delivered. Their smooth, glossy plastic and meticulous detailing left a strong impression, and I was optimistic that they would attract the gaze of potential customers. The bells at my shop chimed, and my enthusiasm led me to say welcome. I directed my attention to the door and found my friend, Ashley, standing there. "Good morning," Ashley greeted me with a welcoming cup of coffee in hand. I smiled and responded, "You always seem to know exactly what I need, precisely when I need it," as we shared a warm embrace. "Wow, that's pretty creepy looking," Ashley remarked as she observed one of the new mannequins I was preparing to dress. I turned to look at it and responded, "Hey, she's beautiful." Ashley smiled and said she was kidding and it looked great. Our conversation shifted to our plans for the night, and I informed Ashley that I intended to spend a few extra hours at the store later that evening, due to the substantial amount of work I had piling. The rest of the day unfolded with typical Tuesday expectations, and I was provided with extra time to focus on projects. Time passed rapidly, and before I realized it, closing time had arrived. I locked up the store's doors and made my way to the back room. As I entered the back room, I was startled when I saw one of the mannequins seemingly staring at me. For a brief moment, I mistook it for a person. After moving it to the corner, I settled down to complete some closing tasks. Fully engrossed in my work, I suddenly heard some rustling on the shelves behind me. I turned around to investigate, but couldn't spot anything unusual. Just a moment later, one of the other mannequins began to topple over, and I quickly jumped to my feet to catch it. "Phew," I sighed, realizing I needed to place them more securely. As I glanced at the mannequin, a creepy sensation washed over me. I placed it back and wrapped up my work to head home. On the following day, I awoke feeling rather fatigued because I had experienced some rather unusual dreams. Occasionally, when I'm deeply immersed in my work, it continues to occupy my thoughts even while I sleep. I was feeling a bit stiff in the joints, which is very abnormal for me. Figured it was best to make a nice healthy breakfast. I prepared for the day and made my way back to the store. As I neared the shop, I noticed something strange. One of my mannequins was propped up against the window outside. I was baffled as how it had gotten there. Embarrassed and frustrated, and without wasting time, I grabbed it and promptly unlocked the store door before stepping inside. I moved through the store and reached the back room. I was astounded to find all my mannequins facing forward, as though they were welcoming me. My heart momentarily raced, but my logical instincts quickly kicked in, and I thought that Ashley was likely responsible for this. She had a key to my store, and this is definitely the kind of playful tricks she would pull. I sent her a text saying, "Haha, nice one," then continued with my opening procedures. Dressing the remaining mannequins became progressively challenging as my hands began to throb, and I sensed discomfort in my elbows as well. With no one present in the store, I decided to make my way to the back room for a break. I sat down to take a moment to rest and rehydrate. I continued to wait for Ashley's response, but 3 hours had now passed since I messaged her. Hungry and unprepared for lunch, I contemplating ordering delivery. Strangely, I found it difficult to reach for my phone. When I looked down, I was horrified to see that my arm appeared to be made of plastic, and it caused me intense pain. I struggled to move it, and then I heard faint whispers echoing around me. The room grew darker, and I jolted awake in terror, standing there, realizing that I had been asleep. The room returned to its normal state. My body, however, was still aching. I found myself fixated on a particular mannequin that seemed eerily different from the rest. The way it looked at me was deeply troubling. Ashley had remarked on its spookiness, and I must concede that she was right. "Hello?" A customer's voice suddenly interrupted my thoughts. Bringing me back to the present moment, I struggled to get up and move over, saying, "Yes, sorry, I was just in the back." It was then that I noticed there was no actual customer. Confused, I cautiously called out, "Is anyone in here?" into the empty store. And just in that moment, I heard a buzz in my pocket. It was Ashley. She conveyed to me that she was feeling unwell and that she had been home all night and morning. Shortly after, I detected more chatter emanating from the back room. As I tried to send a message back to Ashley, I felt my concentration on the phone diminishing. A sensation of dizziness and an increasing perception of something being amiss overcame me rapidly. In that very moment, I fainted and collided with the floor. Transitioning into a dreamlike state, I suddenly found myself in what could only be described as a distorted version of the back room. It was an unsettling scene, filled with a peculiar mixture of candles and mannequins. Strangely, I was immobilized and experienced intense pain that seemed to permeate every part of my body. The urge to cry out was overwhelming, but I found myself unable to do so. The dream then shifted to my bedroom, where I lay in my bed, surrounded once again by candles and an abundance of mannequins. There were so many. Initially, they appeared normal, but gradually assumed a sinister and evil presence. "Ma'am?" came a faint and concerned whisper as I lay there, completely frozen. "Ma'am?" I heard once more, as I gradually regained consciousness, realizing that I was sprawled out on the shop floor. I gazed at the young woman who was kneeling beside me, anxiously looking over me. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," I uttered, but her primary concern was my well-being. Still feeling quite disoriented, I offered my gratitude for her help, and informed her that I should close the shop early for the day. She nodded in understanding and wished me good luck. As the sound of departing bells chimed, I shifted my attention to the back room. While I knew I had to make my exit, my purse, containing my keys to my apartment, was a priority. Stepping towards the back, I momentarily paused as I locked eyes with that particular ominous-looking mannequin. It was as if I half expected it to spring to life. "Come on, do it," I taunted, but it just stood there with its expressionless gaze. I drew a deep breath, determined to shake off the unsettling sensation as best I could. With a little resolve, I reached for my purse and swiftly made my way towards the exit. Throughout the entire process, my eyes remained fixed on that particular mannequin. I turned off the lights, shut the door, and then proceeded to lock and secure the store as I stepped outside. I headed home without any hesitation. I took immediate action by scheduling the removal of the mannequins for the next day. I had no desire to set foot in that store until they were completely gone. I even made a special request for them to dispose of the one I believed to be responsible for all the menacing action. Even though I had physically left the shop behind, an eerie and haunting feeling still clung to me. The next morning, I arrived at the store to unlock the doors for the workers tasked with removing the mannequins. I didn't delve into the full story. Instead, I simply mentioned that the mannequins gave me the creeps, eliciting laughter from them. Despite feeling fatigued and sore all over, I patiently awaited for the moment they would bring out the ghostly mannequin. A moment later, I observed them moving it, but just before its head came into view, I turned my gaze away. I had no desire to lay eyes on it again. The knowledge that it would be cremated brought a sense of relief, and a satisfying smile formed on my face.